Welcome to the No Assembly Required podcast, a podcast where we talk about nothing. And now your host, the girl who will definitely put you in a Vulcan death grip, but it is from a place of love, Red Romina. And your second host, a girl who's already Tracer, Audrey Ember. Your final host, a man who is playing Final Fantasy VII despite the fact he knows that the love of his life in this game is doomed, Roberto Blake. Welcome to the No Assembly Required podcast, filmed in front of a live YouTube audience. I'm loving this new Final Fantasy VII, but it's like it's so fucking gut wrenching because you like spoilers because spoilers for 20 years ago or something, or 15 years ago or whatever it is. Aerith dies, and it's like I'm just sitting here. I'm hoping they changed enough in the game to where I can finally save her. Justice for Aerith, can we please just let me save the girl, please?
Wow. What? That was very emotional.
This game is very emotional for people. This game has been like 15 years in development hell of like giving us a new Final Fantasy. I think this game is like 20 years old or something like that. It was like one of my first PlayStation 1 It's a PlayStation 1 game.
It's like as old as Audrey.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Wow. Like this is the first game where I think I was genuinely emotionally invested in the characters.
Huh.
And they actually have someone in the story die, and it's like permadeath. Like a party character that you actually get attached to.
You know what video game character the first one I got attached to was?
What's that?
Is the little dude from Dig Dug.
Any reason?
I'm gonna look this up. Dig Dug?
I just wanted to see if Audrey knew what Dig Dug was.
Oh, you knew better than that. You knew better than that.
I mean, it's a really addictive game, isn't it? Though I mean,
I recognize it actually. So
yeah. Okay, wow, you raising your eyebrows at me?
I might have seen this in like an arcade or something.
I do think that Final Fantasy was the first time that I got emotionally invested in the characters.
Interesting. I mean, okay, now that we're on the topic of video games, Audrey, what is your favorite type of video game? When you do play.
I don't know. I don't really like the super realistic ones. Like my brother's been trying to get me to play Warzone. And I'm just like, it's too, I don't know. I like the weird ones. Like I like Overwatch. He's like, it's too not realistic. I'm
that's
like,
what
I
you
know.
like about it. Yeah, no, that's what I like that too. I was good at Call of Duty. I was very good at Call of Duty. I used to be obsessed. I was like really good.
See, my thing was Battlefield. Uh-oh.
I think I only bought and downloaded Battlefield because back before social distancing and when you lived in Atlanta, we were supposed to play, but...
Tears.
Wow, okay. But anyway.
What about you, Romina? What's your favorite type of game? Or do you still play games like at all?
Yeah, I don't... Okay. I do and I don't. But I just actually started playing In Other Waters, which is, I guess... I'm not very much of like a gamer in the sense, like I don't know details and stuff like that. I don't know what kind of game this is.
Roasted.
But I guess it's like a story game because it's like it's a lot of reading.
Okay, so a visual novel.
Yeah.
Is that the underwater explorer one?
Yeah, it is.
Wait, what's it called again?
In Other Waters.
I tend to like adventure. My favorite franchise, actually, I take it back. Final Fantasy wasn't the first time I got emotionally invested. It was Legend of Zelda. It was the Legend of Zelda series. It was probably Link to the Past where I got emotionally invested in the people of Hyrule themselves, like everybody in the world of Hyrule. Like
Okay,
Zelda
no.
is a big
You know
deal.
what? The first character that I actually got invested in was Crash Bandicoot.
Interesting. Why Crash?
I know what that is.
Speak.
Yeah. Also, I really was in Spyro a little bit. Yeah, Spyro was cool.
I think I just like arcade. Okay, so I really like arcade games.
Like arcade smash-ems or like
Just super basic. Like I don't have to
button
think. I just
mashing?
want to get button mashing.
Yeah.
So that I really like. I also really like strategy type games.
What, like
For
StarCraft?
I haven't played StarCraft actually.
Oh, you would love StarCraft.
Um,
You
but I
require more
mean stuff
minerals.
like Caesar 3.
Mm.
I played Caesar a lot, which is basically like kind of SimCity. It's just
Did you play
simulation game,
Civilization?
but I did play Civilization.
I'm about some Civilization. But I like real-time strategy games. I like a lot. I like all kinds of games. I like action. I like adventure. I like role-playing. I like first-person shooters. I really like real-time strategy.
You know what I really
I like
like?
fighting games.
Me too. I like first person shooters.
Mm-hmm.
I also like really big world games as well. Like
Yeah, I
Elder
like
Scrolls.
open world exploration games. That's why I
Elder
like Zelda. Oh, you like
yeah.
Elder Scrolls?
Yeah.
I never played Elder Scrolls, believe it or not.
I like creating characters and then having to like just be them and like explore worlds and then fight stuff and
Yes.
all that stuff.
My dream version of heaven is basically just to be reincarnated in an MMORPG.
All right, have you seen the movie Gamer? Gamer?
Yes,
Okay.
but I thought
Which
it was
are
kind of crappy.
really?
I liked the soundtrack. I liked the setup and premise. I thought some of the performances were stilted. I didn't really like Simon. I thought he was a like freaking prick. Um, and um, and I really I like the setup and I like the world that they set up for it and everything like that. I thought the execution of the idea was poor.
You know, I thought it was entertaining at best. But again, I
Yes.
think I've mentioned this
That's
before.
why I'll give it that. It's entertaining.
Where I do rate how good something is for the most part on its rewatchability. I think I've mentioned that before.
I don't feel it has a lot of that.
And I feel like if I do watch it, it has to be like every like few years. Like it's years, you know what I'm
I'd
saying?
have to have nothing, absolutely nothing better to do, and it would just have to be there.
Wow.
Dang.
All right. No, it makes sense. It makes sense. I got it.
It's literally that person.
But I did
at a
really
makeout
like
party.
the concept
It's
though.
like it's like Gamer as a movie is like you're with that person and there's a makeup party and it's like might as well. Like
Honestly,
like
it kind of sounds like I don't know anything about this movie, but just I don't know. I feel like it would be kind of a cheesy.
the premise of the movie is such where people basically the movie
Wait.
Called
What
Gamer.
do you know about it, Audrey?
I know absolutely nothing besides the title is Gamer.
Okay, proceed.
The premise of the movie Gamer is that in the for a job, if you want, you can rent yourself out as a character that can be controlled by somebody with a video game controller, but in the real world, but on these set pieces, basically, where you basically are renting yourself out to be a character to be used available for play. And you get paid a very absurd amount of money to do this, but they are fully in control of everything that you
So
do.
basically, you are a real person who is an avatar.
Exactly so.
Okay.
And they know that you're a real living human being. That's kind of the fetish here. Now, the criminal justice system has escalated that to where if you want the chance to commute your sentence, you go into a first person shooter as a real life person and you can do that.
Who came up with that system?
And if you win, if you survive 10 games, you go free no matter what you did. If you survive 10 games, but no one's pulled it off. Apparently. And also you can, if you need a lot of money real quick, you can be an NPC in these battlefields and hope that nobody shoots you. Like,
Wow.
if you need a lot of money.
So
That
I mean,
seems like a sad death.
yeah, I mean the concept
But
of it is
but
cool.
oh wow, they gave jobs to people who are desperate. Like that's like like you think capitalism's run amok right now? It's like, oh,
One
we can
crazy
write
dude
some
just-
really interesting scripts for you. It's like, oh, we can make this worse. Let's see how we can make this worse. Like that's
one random
yeah.
guy just kills all the NPCs for fun. For no reason.
I'm not that guy, and even Simon's not that guy. It's like, but
Do you guys so have you guys
ooh, video
played
game high school.
any Animal Crossing?
No. Get
I
that
have not.
out of
I'm
here.
thinking about it. My sisters are playing it.
Okay, I have not played any Animal Crossing either. How do you guys feel about that? Do you guys feel like
I'd have
do you
to
have
play it.
FOMO? Like
I've been like, I want to see what this is all about, but I haven't had so much. I want to see what this is all about. Maybe when I'm done playing Final Fantasy, since the game isn't complete and they're releasing it in installments, and I haven't finished it up yet, like the first installment yet. Maybe when I finish that, because I'll have really probably almost nothing else really to play unless I want to finish God of War. Maybe I'll pick it up. I don't know.
yeah. By the way,
problem
for
with-
those of you who are watching us right now, if you could please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button on YouTube. Because
Share
I
out
see
the
how many
live
people are
podcast.
in here.
Share out the live podcast. Get more people to subscribe.
The number of thumbs up does not match the number of viewers.
Calm
So
down.
my OCD mind is about to flip a table right now. So please fix that and hit the thumbs up. Also, it'll make Audrey smile. Never mind. So Connor says that it makes him think about being John Malkovich, the whole gamer concept, the player and control aspect. Which is interesting because that reminds me that I didn't add being John Malkovich to our
Oh my God.
spreadsheet. And I'm wondering if I should. I feel like it's been mentioned enough times in pop culture, referenced
I think.
to be on the spreadsheet, but I also don't want to overwhelm Audrey. Although she does say that she has watched one of the films on the spreadsheet.
So
Do
you're
want
going to take
share?
away my progress of the past week?
Yeah.
I just
Did-
added-
Yeah,
Did
every time you take off of a
Did you
movie,
put,
I'm just gonna
add
add another one.
Did you
the
put,
never-ending list.
God, what was it?
Oh my God, never ending story. Do I have to add that?
Oh
one to
my
the
God,
list?
yes, please and thank you. Yes, God, why? Why
What?
would that not be on there?
Have you not seen that, Audrey? Oh my gosh,
let's
now
take
she's
a
scared
guess.
of saying no. She's gonna lie and say yes, just so that I don't add it to the
Yes.
spreadsheet.
No, I watched one last week. What was it called?
Oh my gosh, you don't even remember what it was called.
I'm looking at the list.
Wow.
It's called
Terminator?
no.
Oh. Well, that's the
didn't
one that's
Check that
highlighted.
one. Where is it? Am I blind? Rear Window.
Oh wow. You saw rear. Oh wow, you went far back. Okay.
It was very random. I literally
Yeah,
just
it is.
scrolled and was like, boop.
Wow. Okay, so is this going to be your strategy? Or you're just going to scroll.
Yes.
I mean, this is how you choose your gifts. So I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not entirely surprised.
Scroll every time and like choose a random one. Seems like a good plan.
Okay, interesting. This is very interesting considering that this is your first one that you've seen
Yeah.
from this list that you hadn't seen prior.
Mhm.
Tell us.
It's a very random choice.
You know what's a good movie that's like, it's not mainly for the pop culture like stuff on it, but it's just really, really good as far as an entertaining movie, to your point. Two for the Money with Al Pacino and Matthew McConaughey.
We should establish boundaries. No more movies. You guys
Okay,
can make
yeah,
a
no more
second list
No.
and put extras on there.
If like,
Wow. Okay. What difference does that make?
I feel
It
like
makes me feel more
I
accomplished
feel like
when I
if we
check
all
them
lived,
off.
I feel like if we all lived, or if there was a way to do this without any copyright BS like nonsense, like I wish there was a way for people to literally remotely just do watch parties together and just watch a film of their choosing. I wish YouTube would create a way where even if you pay for it or you rent it, you can watch it with like a limited number of friends and you all could just watch it simultaneously and also use your webcams and actually interact and just watch
I
a
think
movie.
you can do that with
Well-
Netflix right now. No.
Well, there's a few websites that you can do that, which I currently do with my online friends.
Yeah, just not us.
Just not you guys.
Dang.
But yeah, there's a plugin that's the Netflix party plugin. But there's also like other websites. Like Rabbit used to be really great, but then Rabbit they sold because they just didn't know how to handle the volume of people that were on the website. And so now it's a little bit crappy, but they still kind of do the same thing. You can still watch stuff together. I found that Netflix Party is working a lot better than the new Rabbit. But yeah, there's a few different websites like that, but they don't work that great. Mainly because of the legal factor.
If we literally just watched movies like together in our downtime, like she'd get through the 100 movies of being caught up with us in like a year, like and then like all the references, all the
Well,
things.
she's about to tell us what she thought about Rear Window.
Okay.
Well, that was. Do you guys remember that one? Obviously.
Of course. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't remember that one, but like, go ahead. You'll remind me. You'll jog my memory.
Basically, like it was kind of cool how they had basically no set. Like their set was just one spot. And
Right.
They didn't move. Like the main character didn't leave that room the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dang, that's
So-
pretty hard to.
I've always wanted to make a movie like that, you know.
I love those kinds of movies. The one location films are some of my favorites. So the girl who lives across the street, I forgot what her name is, who's like always in her bra.
No.
She basically lived on the set the whole time that they were filming.
Wow.
Like she was just
What?
there. Like she made it like her apartment, so it would feel lived in. So
That's dedication.
I mean, it's kind of, yeah, it's definitely so this is one of his most famous films, but it's probably one of my least favorites just because of the last 15 minutes. I feel
Wow.
like it was super rushed and the way that it ended was so random compared to like the tension that was built up.
It honestly felt like at the beginning it was kind of like once they established where everything was, I feel like there's a gap in the middle for a while where they could have started ramping it up earlier to make it not as like rushed at the end. Because literally the last, like you said, the last 15 minutes are like insane. And then
Yeah.
for the entire other time, there's like a lull in the middle where you're just like,
Right.
let's get stuff going.
It just kind of just like
Yeah.
escalated all of a sudden. But I do love her character, his girlfriend or fiance, I guess. I don't know if they're gonna get married or not. I really love her character a lot because when she's presented, she comes up as like very like girly and she's only like working in fashion and all this stuff, but then she turns out to be super badass. And it's just like, no, just because I love fashion and I like to look good doesn't mean that like I'm, empty-headed. It's just one of my interests. And the fact that kind of character, like in a woman, was in a film at that time.
Yeah, no, it was not really something that was done, and it was not a point that was made. It's an interesting point of social commentary.
Yeah, that a woman can be, wear jewelry and like be interested in fashion, but then also be very, intellectually stimulated by culture and other things that don't have to do with fashion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, it wasn't played for laughs as, oh, well, she's the nerdy, introverted girl who then has to transform and become beautiful or reveal, oh, your beauty was there all along. It's like, no, she immediately overtly presents as this, but also it's not that, oh, she has to become intelligent. No, she was the entire time. It's like, it's a very, it breaks the mold in terms of what was the norm at the time and what was presented and what was represented in cinema. To another point, I also think in a completely different end of the spectrum, I like those kind of elements of Basic Instinct.
Yeah.
Because I liked that she was simultaneously the damsel in distress, the predator, and the antagonist in the entire scenario. If you really think about it, everybody in that film was always constantly reactive to her and at her mercy and being played by. It's like, and the thing is, it's not as if they were unaware of it either. I just like it's just something so powerful and compelling.
I think there's a
about that.
lot to say about that as far as like, so I just realized that I didn't add any Marilyn Monroe
Oh.
to the list.
Oh, in Basic Instinct, I see why
No.
it would immediately take you to Marilyn Monroe because of the imagery.
Right. Where it's like Monroe was presented as such, but if you actually watch her movies, like her characters are not like that.
Right.
They're, for the most part, most of her characters are actually very smart.
Yeah.
And they're just,
And they have a wholesome quality to them.
yeah, they're wholesome. And it's Marilyn Monroe is a very, very fascinating subject for marketing.
Do you know what's very interesting about the TV show, if you remember Dawson's Creek from back in the day?
Yes, I remember Dawson.
Michelle Williams' character, Jen Lindley, kind of presents as a Marilyn Monroe, but in the way that you're saying and everything like that, of like very intelligent. If you think about it, she had the reputation of the New York wild child, and it was a merited reputation, but that's not the person she chose to be when she came to Cape Side. And she was very intelligent, the very upscale New Yorker, but is this beautiful blonde bombshell. But then she she gives little book nerd Joey Potter a run for her money in every single category and challenges her, but also in a way elevates and highlights exactly how special Joey is, because she's on par, or rather, Jen herself is actually intimidated by Joey's intelligence and earnestness, and wishes in many ways that she retain. She also is envious of Joey's innocence in life while not being ignorant to life.
Yeah.
Joey understands hardship and loss and all of those life lessons, but in terms of, and she understands adult responsibility, whereas Jen understands adult consequences, and that is their juxtaposition. And that's what I like about, as much as people make fun of or joke about Dawson's Creek, the scripting, the writing, the storytelling, the thoughtfulness of literally taking two completely different people and juxtaposing someone who has an understanding of adult responsibilities because of having to take on their family's hardships and stuff financially, versus a rich, girl from the upper class who has not had responsibility but has had consequences. You see, it's an interesting juxtaposition of these two beautiful, intelligent young women from completely different walks in life, both also united, but not only limited to their interest in the boy next door, but that's kind of how we're presented with it. But they actually have much more to do with each other and much more in common that has nothing to do with him. And they actually play that out. They actually make it a point in the series of they have something to them, both antagonistically and both in their favor, that has nothing to do with him when you take him out of the equation. I actually really enjoyed that writing.
It's kind of like Audrey and I. We're both from different walks of life, and here I am trying to make her watch movies, and she watches one, and I add 3 more. So, sorry, Audrey, but I had to add the 7-Year Itch. So, the 7-Year Itch is a Marilyn Monroe movie, which you've seen many references to it in pop culture, and is the identifying image of Marilyn Monroe. Yet most people haven't seen the movie who recognize that image. So I think in order to get you more cultured, this is part of it. So that when you do see the image, you say, hey, I know where that's from.
Okay.
Romina, what do you know? Romina and Audrey, like, what do you guys know about Hedy Lamarr?
Who?
Hedy Lamarr. The famous actress, but among other things, but like
Lamar.
Hedy Lamarr.
Yeah.
You've never heard of? Have you guys never heard of Hedy Lamarr?
No, I have. But what do I know about her? I don't know very much about her.
She invented Wi-Fi?
Yeah, she was an actress, no formal training in the technology thing, but she was an inventor, and she's a gorgeous actress, and she's known for like her films in like the 40s and stuff like that, and into the late 30s. But the thing is, she is actually responsible for Wi-Fi and Bluetooth.
Wait, how?
What?
Yeah, she was an inventor. She like she literally began the beginnings of like so back in the day, and what a lot of people don't realize, and again, her patents, like she was only later accredited with these things. It's funny because back in the day when she was first auditioned to be an actress, she was like a switchboard operator. Okay, so what people don't know is that a lot of the technology we have right now was adapted from radio frequency technology. So
Right.
ultimately, an invention of hers that was patented back in the 1940s, I want to say. So it's like back right before we got to World War category, right? Or right around there, something like that. The ultimately, her invention was adapted into what is today modern day Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And she wasn't recognized for it until I think after her death. But she actually, did in fact get the patents for this because, like, she and a lot of women of that time. It's just like how we only later found out about all the women who worked at NASA back in the day during the Apollo missions.
Mm-hmm.
Same story, same scenario. But she was known for being this like bombshell actress back like during
Right.
World War II and stuff like that, and being a wonderful model and all this stuff. But she actually made significant contributions to our telecommunications technology.
Pretty
Wow.
awesome.
That's fascinating. I had no idea that she did that. But again, I never looked into her.
Well, a lot of people. Well, I was looking back in the day, like, well, back in the
Back in my day.
So, like, when there was a lot of stuff recently that made me over the years start looking into, looking into old technology and like who invented what, and
Oh.
who invented the like predecessor to, because like you might do something right now that you don't think matters, but what will someone take from your framework or your idea or something in your notebook and build 50 years later? How many things did we take from Da Vinci from like hundreds of years ago and say, oh, that's an interesting idea and I actually can bring it to fruition now? Like I've thought about what were ideas that were impossible in the past that someone said, well, now I'm not limited by the technology of your time. Oh, I know what made me think about this. Iron Man was what made me think about this. So I started doing this because of Iron Man, and it was when in Iron Man 2, Tony was dying, and he had to look into his father Howard Stark's old research to find an answer for today. And Howard said, I'm limited by the technology of my time, son, but maybe in your time you'll be able to figure this out. And then he said, no matter what, you are my greatest creation, right? And it made me start thinking about the idea of, well, what is something that maybe 50 or 100 years old that no one's taken a second look at? Like, what was someone where someone stopped because, oh, I'm limited by the technology of my time 50 or 100 years ago, that if we revisited today, what could be done? And then I realized that that's what people have been doing. They've been farming the past for ideas, and I was like, oh, this is a thing. And that's how I ended up coming across Hedy Lamarr and a bunch of other people who actually, invented stuff that they weren't credited for till well after they were gone, that people built on top of.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting perspective because it's not something that you think about as like the impact that you make presently sometimes might seem trivial. It might seem like not as important. But then in the long run, like it's those smaller components that build up to the bigger machine.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Very interesting. I did not know that about her, so I'll have to read about it now.
It also makes me think about how many people, like, we think a lot about our age and everything like that, but a lot of people, their great work happens not in their prime. It happens when they've had more time to reflect.
Connor says he was thinking about making a career designing faster Wi-Fi and Bluetooth systems. So the key to doing that is become a Hollywood starlet.
Perfect solution.
But speaking about technology, we've come to the point in the podcast where we should talk about the title.
Oh, I didn't even know what the title was. What's the?
Which is, will Starlink actually be worth it?
What's
What?
Starlink?
What's Starlink? What's Starlink? It's Elon Musk's proposal to have internet access.
That's cool.
For
I had not.
everyone.
How
For
have I
everybody?
not heard of that?
Yeah. He's been working on it for like the past, I don't know, 5 years, I think.
It's
maybe?
one of the. It's like, well, actually, so you know how everyone says Elon Musk is Tony Stark?
Yeah.
He's actually so Elon Musk is not necessarily Tony Stark as much as he is Reed Richards.
So, anyway, Starlink.
Do you know who Reed Richards is?
Are you going to lead us down a path here?
It ties directly into your overall thesis. Reed
All right.
Richards is Mr. Fantastic from the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
So he's one of the other big brains in the Marvel universe. In the Marvel universe, you have Tony Stark, big brain Tony Stark, big brain Reed Richards. You have T'Challa from Wakanda, and you have Professor Xavier. You have Namor for Atlantis, and then you have Black Bolt from the Inhumans. And this group in the Marvel universe literally is the Illuminati in the Marvel universe, in the comics. And each of them is holding one of those Infinity Stones that they gripped off of Thanos and is responsible for it. So as a council, they could decide together to use the Infinity Gauntlet. But they basically put together a council of the smartest minds in the world, someone with, like all these different facets of science or magic or this thing or that thing. And so they're about that Illuminati life. And I bring this up just to say that Elon is Reed Richards because Reed Richards came up with 100 ideas to actually fix and save the world if implemented, and that's Elon Musk because it's based on the idea of Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, which is about the foundation to end human suffering. And so Elon basically was inspired by Asimov, but he's the real life version not of Tony Stark, but of Reed Richards, but with some Tony Stark like qualities. He's more Reed Richards. He's like a hybrid of Tony Stark and Reed Richards because he has the playboy and the braggadocio and the trolling aspects of Tony. So he has the childishness of Tony, but in terms of his actual implementation of ideas and his roadmap is closer to Reed Richards.
But will Starlink work?
Yes.
Oh my god, I just read an article and it said that there are now 420 operational Starlink satellites and they launched the last 60 on the 20th?
Yeah, he
Yes.
did that as a see.
That's
He
that-
literally is like
absolutely
he would
amazing.
meme that he'd do something just for the meme. He literally will spend millions of dollars just for the meme.
Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah, Kogma thinks my comparison is good, spot on.
Thanks,
about you.
Kamga. I think that you should give this live stream a thumbs up if you really do think this is a good comparison.
Stop pressuring
How do you
people,
get-
Romina.
I'm not pressuring them. I'm telling them that they should.
Smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm.
Smash the like button for my self-esteem, guys. Please. But yeah. So what do you think about that, Audrey?
That's pretty awesome. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. like once you think about it. But I just didn't know that this was happening.
Free internet, if actually used thoughtfully instead of just for the memes, like would revolutionize everything, because it means that everybody can be more educated. Everybody can have access to resources. Everyone can get open source software, develop skills. People's
Precisely.
opportunities are opened up to do digital and online commerce. You literally have the expansion of global consumerism, of people being able to dabble in intellectual property, publish, do all of the wonderful things that we like. It's funny. It's part of the reason that like I don't like. And I'm like, I'm not trying to go down a tangent here, but it's like, I don't like a lot of the people on the internet who complain, because if they're on Twitter, then they can do something with their life, regardless of their circumstances. And I'm not negating anyone's hardships or anybody's physical limitations or anything like that. But if you are on Twitter complaining about the way the world is, the thing is, there are things you could be doing to better yourself and to make a difference in your life and make a difference in the world, instead of tweeting about how horrible people who aren't you are because you think you have moral superiority to people who are rich. And it bothers me a little bit. It bothers me a little bit because if someone like Elon, who they also criticize all the time, literally is sitting here fighting to, one, make human beings an interplanetary species so that we can actually survive and so we can stop destroying the Earth. If Elon is sitting here and trying to figure out how to create free working high-speed internet to connect the entire world, to give new people opportunities and to introduce them to new ideas and help break down barriers in culture and walk us back from the cliff of ignorance, then you're going to demonize him because you feel like somebody at the bottom in Tesla or SpaceX isn't doing well because they're a janitor or something. Like, that's like to literally ignore the fact that someone is literally trying to change the trajectory of human evolution because
they're not perfect.
Because they're not perfect, or because somebody's a janitor somewhere missing
Because they're not your idea of
because they're not your ideal of, like, they're not your champion or zealot or whatever for your ideology, or whatever you think is right and everything. Like, and what how is it that what you think is right is right? Like, by what measure?
Right. Well, here's the thing. So
it's exhausting.
So not to like. So Andrew, who is in chat right now, he just said, not to be a downer, but you've still got to distribute devices to these people somehow. So to kind of go off of that, it kind of coincides with what Roberto is saying right now, where it's the start of something. So the fact that he's putting all this money down, the fact that he's putting all this time, energy, he's giving people jobs, he's making something happen. People will always find something wrong with it.
Yeah.
He could literally give every single person on planet Earth a laptop.
And they'll say it wasn't a fast enough one.
Right.
Or he could have done more, or he could have done it sooner, or it could have been a higher quality one, or why was it this brand, or, oh, you gave everyone a laptop, but you gave it to them and it was made by a company that uses, like, cheap labor.
Right.
It'll always be. It'll never be enough.
There's always going to be something that's wrong with anything. With anything. That goes without saying with anything in life. Yeah. There's always going to be something that's wrong, something that's negative, because with every positive thing that you do in life, there's always going to be a negative one, because it's the balance, it's the order of how things happen.
I'm rooting for Sephiroth. I'm rooting for him to literally succeed and drop the meteor on the planet, because maybe that's what we deserve. Because we can't be sad, because we're not grateful for things. So just drop the meteor and be done with it.
But I am super excited about Starlink, because it seems like whenever I've brought it up to people, they have no idea that they're just like you, Audrey. Like, they have no idea that it's like that. There's a bunch of satellites like floating around, and this is a project.
Why have I not heard about this? I feel like I follow Elon on Twitter. Like, I feel like I would have.
It's probably overshadowed between the memes and the people hating.
And the rocket launches, because I think SpaceX gets a lot more.
Yeah.
Starlink is such a cool name, though. Like,
oh yeah,
yeah,
that was a great choice.
So was SpaceX. It's like, so was Tesla. It's like the branding is just amazing. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
But Starlink is a real great project that excites me, because I mean, think about it. Elon's literally implementing. Elon has. I don't know what his secret notebook looks like, but I guarantee you,
Ooh.
Elon has a notebook. I guarantee
I want
you,
a secret
because
notebook.
I have a notebook. Like I have. Here's the 100 things you do that fix the world. I know. Literally, here's 100 things that we do, and the world is not. It's not perfect, but it's better. It's perfect, but it's not better. You know?
Right.
Like, look at all the people attacking Bill Gates and wanting to believe this nonsense about Bill Gates that literally they think he profiteered. They literally are convincing themselves that he created the coronavirus to benefit from it somehow. I'm not even joking. Bill Gates, the guy who basically threw all the money he could at curing polio in a decade. Like, oh, you think he engineered this thing to what purpose, to what end, and everything like that? It is the stupidest thing in the world and everything like that. Could someone just save me from all of the stupid people? Could someone just somebody save me? Please deliver me from the ignorance. And I know it sounds pretentious. I know it sounds heavy-handed. I know it sounds high. I know it sounds high and mighty. This is what gets me into problem with people in Twitter, because I don't sound humble enough, because I call out BS and I call out nonsense. I call it nonsense. It's like, ain't nobody got time for that. Because everybody complaining, anyone who complains should literally screenshot me their screen time app and show me that they did not kill 20 hours this week on their phone.
Go off.
Show me that you didn't kill 20 hours on the screen time app on your phone if you're going to complain in Twitter. And I mean that only for the people, by the way, only for the people complaining in Twitter. That's the only people I'm talking about. Is screenshot me your screenshot out and tell me about how all your problems, and then show me the 20 hours you didn't spend in social media this week, or the 10 hours you didn't spend in social media this week, because then I will find you the 10 or 20 hours to fix your problems, and you can stop blaming Elon and Bezos and Gates for all the evil in the world, and realize that maybe, just maybe,
someone who's just tuning in,
can do something.
Like, what is going on?
Welcome to the people who are just coming in. I would like to suggest kindly that you give this live stream a thumbs up. kindly, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Spotify. Where else are we on? On iTunes, wherever you listen to your podcast. Follow us, because we're on that. Doesn't matter. It could be the most obscure platform. We're on that.
We on all of them. We out here.
And they've been uploading too.
You've been doing a good job of managing that, Audrey. Speaking of which, Audrey, what do you think? What do you see happening with free internet? If we get free internet in the next 5-10 years, like literally, there's a free tier of high quality internet for everybody who can access it with a device. How do you think that impacts the world?
The world? Dang. That'd be like a literal game changer.
Okay,
it would affect so much, because people could, like, there's so many different, I don't know. Like, I feel like it would just give everyone the opportunity to, like, either connect with more people or, like, do more entrepreneurship stuff, or, like...
And what do you think will come
learn more
of that? Connecting with more people, what do you think that brings? That's good.
I don't know. I feel like it just... it's such like a big thing. I haven't thought about this before.
I mean, 10 minutes ago you didn't know that this was a possibility, and now it's become very real.
I feel like people would learn a lot more, like, on their own.
Consider what happens when you literally have it a natural thing, that when you become a person who comes of the age. Think about it like this. Imagine a world where, like, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we all have, like, little kids. We have little humans running around, right? Think about the fact that all of our little humans, literally from the day they're born, will be in a world where they can talk to a friend that's literally in, like, Pakistan or China or Australia every single day, like, without a second thought, that they can literally just talk to them whenever they want and see them and see what the world over there looks like.
Not just that, Roberto. What about school, education? So it's not just going to school with other people who are in your country, but there would be a global school where you could attend school online with students from all over the world, from different cultures, different backgrounds, different upbringings.
Someone asked a question, the old sparrow asked a question, what would be the enticement for a free internet? What would be the profit motive? Do you know why almost everything Google provides is free? Because I think everyone's short-sighted on this. Why would someone give something away for free? Let's look at YouTube, for example. What's the profit motive in the fact that you literally have... Because, by the way, most YouTube content creators are not monetized, so don't tell me the ad revenue. And most YouTube content creators... But remember, YouTube gives the content creators a 55% split on this. And just remember that most people aren't monetized. Most people who use the service, most people who live stream. Let's look at these live streams. YouTube has been allowing us to live stream in HD quality, and we've put up 10 plus hours of live streaming, 10 hours of hosting delivered. The bandwidth alone, if it wasn't that I have like unlimited data on these data caps, would cost me hundreds of dollars a month just to live stream this from my house as it is. So we're not paying for the hosting, we're not paying for the bandwidth, we're not paying for the back end of YouTube. We pay $0, and we're not even generating the website any profit as we speak. None of us right now watching this live stream and participating in this live stream are generating the website profit from this stream, and we get to do it for free. Even StreamYard is an app. We're not using the pro version. We're not even paying for this app. It's all free. The open source movement. One of the big things that no one realizes is that literally just having more people on the internet on a long enough timeline is economically advantageous for these people. And then it also means that if your service is the number one thing being used, then you have the control of the brand. But here's the other aspect of it. Because of the data and because of the user behavior, the future is all based in AI. And the thing is, what you get to learn about human behavior and pattern recognition from the machine learning of making your tool better gives you leverage to make every other tool you make better. And that saves you millions of dollars and makes you billions of dollars because you have a large enough data set around human behavior to be able to build predictive models that make all the other technology that will service human beings valuable. The problem and the mindset that people have is they haven't come to grips with the fact that in our grandchildren's lifetime, aside from the trades of like electrician and HVAC and carpentry and such, labor will not exist. That's a bold claim, but let's really think about that. The world literally just shut down not too long ago, and yet there are sectors of the economy that still are operational and booming. And then there are a lot of things where, yes, we have essential workers and essential services. You don't think that the technology companies are getting ready to automate some of those things away? All the Amazon warehouse workers right now, don't you think all these warehouse workers, don't you think that in 15 years there's a real possibility that the only person working in a warehouse will be an overseer of robots and a mechanic to fix them?
Yep.
Yes, for sure.
Like, we already have stores you can go into without interacting with a human being in a transaction. We already have digital e-commerce where I can have everything delivered to my house same day with no human interaction required. We already have robot delivery cars where you literally punch a keypad and your delivery comes out of the truck and nobody else's. So like delivery, all of this.
We have fast food, some McDonald's.
Food. Yeah, they had that in Japan 5 years ago. We got it late. I've been telling people for years. Every fast food restaurant's gonna be a vending machine. So humans will be reduced to concierge services, hospitality services, and maybe the trades around electricity, plumbing, and very detailed oriented work. But everything else that you consume and think of as labor for the most part in, say, a retail experience and in logistics and transport will basically be non-existent in our lifetime, or by the time we're dead and it's our grandkids' turn, there won't be labor for the most part.
Yeah.
But so if we keep thinking of everything from the framework of labor to leverage, it's a doomed idea because then you can't interpret someone like Elon Musk or Bill Gates, and that's fine, and that's why people don't relate to them, is because I understand, like years ago, all I was thinking about was trading my time for money and doing labor. But when you're thinking in that framework of time for money and wages, and you're not thinking about the global economy, transactional, like everything's transactional and traffic based. So if it's all transactions and traffic, look at e-commerce, look at how we think about it. We've all been trying to operate without leaving our homes. And the thing is, we've gotten used to it over the last couple of weeks and months. And if this goes on till the end of the year, how much more do you think that pushes us closer to this idea where it's like, as long as we can get the things that we want and as long as a transaction happens and everything, like that's going to be the economy. Do you think they're going to let something like a pandemic affect the economy again after this? They'll do everything in their power to reduce the amount of human beings required to do anything.
What's gonna happen to like basic entry-level jobs then?
They won't exist.
Like all those people.
That's already gone for the most part, Audrey. Like, think about it. That's why
it's already gone for like. I mean, you guys know because I've talked about this before in like text messages. But when looking for jobs, that it's so competitive because the amount of work that's there is meant for people who, let's say, are in high school or just came out of high school, people who don't have a high
no skills,
right, and they're just kind of looking to make some extra cash while they're going to school, and maybe just want to make a few connections to get to the next level in their career. But there's no like entry level jobs. It's not. Because like if you just sit there, I'm telling you because I've seen it myself.
You're living it right now.
Yeah, exactly. I look at these job listings and I do the math and I'm like, how is this a career? Because
it's not.
Like
people are trying to subsist off of doing the bare minimum. And the thing is, I understand why and how that happens, and sometimes things happen and it's nobody's fault or whatever. But let's really think about this. Why would someone be able to subsist off of being a cart wrangler at Walmart? That doesn't make sense that someone would make a living doing that. So why? Because the thing is, that's not meant to be that. That is not meant to your point, Romina, that is meant to be a job for a teenager.
Right.
Being a greeter at Walmart is meant to be a job for a teenager. It's not meant to be somebody who's transferred through the stages of life to where you're meant to be building and acquiring your skills and to learn a trade or a profession or a calling of some kind and then move throughout life to where you gain skills while you're young one way or another. And you're supposed to, and that's what it's supposed to be. And people who don't do that then go into something that's not meant to be lived off of and not meant for them.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's because they don't have a skill set. Because like someone had the nerve to tell me the other day that having a crappy job isn't a choice. And my point to them was, it's 100 choices. And I don't say that condescendingly because I had crappy jobs.
Right.
The out for it was while I was working those crappy jobs, I was also building skills that would allow me to go into a better job.
Right.
And to do a different job. I looked at, even in those crappy jobs, you're supposed to look at, if you don't have skills or you're going to be through that thing, you're supposed to look at elevating and moving yourself through the ladder. Meaning that if you start in a crappy position and a crappy job, why are you still in that position at that company 5 years later? Why have you not moved from this thing to assistant manager to manager to district manager?
They don't go in with an exit strategy. And that's really all it is. I mean, when you go into a movie theater, like, you know where the exits are. You know where you have to go when there's a fire. But it's like, why don't people do that same approach when they're going into these jobs? Because like when I'm thinking about it, even before I even apply to it, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, this is a job. This is how much it's going to pay. Is it worth it to me to go to this job for less than I would be making doing something else? What am I going to get out of, what value am I going to get out of it?
Yeah. Old Sparrow asks, so what's the answer for the millions of unskilled and more likely unskilled? The thing is, at scale, I don't claim to have all the answers. I'm in favor of a UBI like what Andrew Yang wants, but I'm also not letting people, even if we write you a check for UBI, I also never want to hear anyone in Complitter complain to people about like things, because I'm not letting anyone off the hook for why you don't have a skill. Like, what choices did you make in life? If you made choices, if you are not disabled, if you are a fully healthy, functioning human being, and you somehow manage to live to 25 or 30 years old and have not developed a skill in life, or not figured out that life will be difficult for you if you don't develop a skill that allows you to move forward, beyond minimum wage work, if you have not made some type of life plan at that point, it is very difficult for me to not be frustrated with you. It's not that I don't care about your plight. It's not that I don't want a better life for you. It is very hard for me to be not frustrated with you. And I have people in my life like that, and I love them to death, but I also never let them off the hook and let them give me their excuses because I also watch them play Xbox.
Yeah. It's definitely going to happen. There's going to be a lot of those.
Right.
I wonder if that would like...
So I feel like, so my answer to that question to Old Sparrow is there's still going to be industries where unskilled or underskilled people are going to be needed still.
I want to give everyone access to trade schools. That's my answer. Give everyone access to trade schools. For
example, the hospitality industry.
Yes.
So yes, we already have hotels that currently have robots who do your check-in for you.
But we all want a human.
But there's still something to be said. If I'm paying $500 for a room, it's very nice for someone to come up to me and be like, "Oh, hello, Mrs. Welcome to this hotel. Can we grab your bags? Is there any room service that you'd like?" Because that's really what I'm paying for, is to be made to feel like I'm special. So until we have robots that are able to do that, those are some pretty safe jobs.
The other good news is maybe in the next couple of decades, and it will be probably a different present because this one said $100 trillion in infrastructure, which I agree with. I think that's a wonderful plan. I would have given him all the credit and praise he would have wanted if he had done it. But I think if we do $1 trillion into infrastructure to fix the crumbling infrastructure of the United States of America, then that gives a lot of these non-skilled workers a chance and a lot of people a chance to get jobs and get something for the next decade of doing that work before everything else is replaced by the automations, the technologies, the AI and such, because that'll be the transitional period. But the thing is, those things I don't think should exist for another generation beyond that, because I think it's unreasonable for another generation beyond that to repeat those mistakes and to have those standards. I think that anyone born into this era of the abundance of this technology and all of these things, I have very little sympathy for. I have sympathy for someone who's 30, 45, 50, so on and so forth. I don't have sympathy, Romina, for anyone between the ages of 20 and 25 in a world where Google exists if they live in the United States of America, who hasn't developed and learned a skill, not with open source software, not with e-commerce, not with every opportunity to be educated, even if they didn't go to college, not with all the free universities online, not with Khan Academy, not with Skillshare, not with any of these things that literally could give you a high income skill, let alone an entry level thing, a high income skill that people can learn over the course of a few months by putting hours upon hours upon. You know what a college education is? A college education is literally after you squander 2 years of learning basic things that are a repeat of high school, is you learning a theoretical version of a specialized skill for about 2 hours every other day. That is what college is. If you actually look at what a college schedule is, it is you literally doing 2 or 3 classes every other day for about 2 hours a piece tops. You don't even really, if you look at a college schedule, you're not even really spending 8 hours a day learning, and you're not doing 8 hours a day of concentrated learning on one thing. It's spread out. You get all these breaks in between semesters and everything like that. There's not any concentrated learning in college the way that's set up. It's a farce. That's why everybody on the first year of their job, because they're doing it 8 hours a day of doing very concentrated, very specific execution, 8 hours a day, every day. That's why everyone learns better the first year on their job than the last 4 in college, is because concentrated learning is not doing it every other day, showing up to class every other day, and then not the weekends for 2 hours. Nobody learns anything useful that way.
So
Not
basically,
really.
Audrey, no pressure. You're in that demographic, Roberto. Just
Audrey has multiple high-level, high-income skills. Audrey can shoot and edit photos.
yeah, but she could get lazy one day and just stop working on them.
She could. But that's on her.
I could become an Overwatch streamer.
I
Here's
mean,
the thing.
Great
That's a skill.
idea.
That's a skill. That's a skill. You make me play right now, and
I've got nothing against anybody who becomes an entertainer, by the way, in YouTube or in Twitch, because there's actually skills. To do that, you have to be able to build a gaming PC or know how to buy one. That's a skill. You need to be able to set up a streaming setup. That's a skill. You have to be able to set up lighting. That's a skill. Those are things that I'm fine with.
I feel
So
like
Ahmed brings up a really great point, which is one of the reasons why I do love the idea behind Starlink, which is that Starlink is not just about free internet, but it's about bringing internet to people in developing countries who don't have internet connection at all. So these are people who do not have access to information.
The minute that happens, within 10 years, those people are going to make Americans look really soft.
No pressure, Audrey.
No, you think I'm playing, though. Think about it. Think about some of your friends, and think about some of your peers, and think about some of your homies. Think about what somebody like what Ahmed was saying. Think about what Ahmed was saying. Think about these people who will be so happy and so blessed to have the opportunities that we take for granted every day, that all of our friends are whining and complaining about, and and woe is me, I'm oppressed in America, and everything like that. Given half the opportunity of an American, the people in these developing countries are going to wipe the floor with spoiled American brats. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting. I cannot wait for a world where every spoiled, entitled American who thinks that they have it so hard has to compete with people that have really had it hard for the last 200 years. When those people get access to the same opportunity and technology with their culture and their work ethic and their value system, it's going to be on.
Get it?
People are going to get exposed for being soft so quickly.
Definitely.
I would never, ever, if my parents were young today, if my parents were, like, if I got to be younger again, and instead of 36, if I got to be 20 again, but if I got to be 20 again, but my parents also got to be 20 again, I wouldn't want to compete with them.
Yeah.
I would not want to compete with them.
Same.
Someone says they'll be playing catch up. I disagree, my friend. Whenever people who haven't been exposed to those things come to this country, they catch up real quick because they don't play around.
Yeah, it's kind of like the lull that we're in right now, being in quarantine, or people who are temporarily laid off, who are finally taking the time to...
the Americans will be playing catch up.
Yes.
Okay. I appreciate you. That's all good. Thank you for the correction. Sorry about that, but yeah.
I was going to say that it's kind of like the people, I think there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to come out post all of this, because of the people that are finally playing catch up, because they're catching up real quick. And I feel like there's a lot of stuff, a lot of projects, a lot of inventions that are going to come out, from the last couple of months alone. I mean, think about it, just the last 2 months. In 2 months, what can you do if you have no work to do and are receiving benefits, receiving money to do it?
There are people that are literally finally coding and building like the app that they've always been thinking about now. Like there's people legit doing that. I've seen people starting all kinds of interesting projects. And again, I know I have a lot of harsh, tough love, for people. It's not that it's not that I'm unsympathetic or uncaring toward people who are struggling and suffering and who are depressed. I lived it already. I know, though, that all the pity and sympathy I was giving did nothing for me and didn't really make me feel any better. If anything, it made me feel worse. And what got better was really just taking stock of my life and then thinking about what I could control and what I could do and then doing it. The only reason I'm here today is because, frankly, I didn't take myself out because I couldn't do that to my mom. And then I figured out that it's like, if I put my mind to it, I bet you I'm capable of making my life better. And I decided that that's what I would actually do. And that's why I'm here today. And that's the only reason I'm here today, because I was struggling. I was suffering. I didn't think I had a way out. I had a philosophy of despair too. I hated everyone in the world. I blamed the rich. I blamed everyone. I blamed God. And where did that get me? Nowhere. So I had to do something. And that something was incrementally make my life better, one piece at a time, one day at a time. And I would just hope that people would take this time to do that. Because if you don't, there will be someone who has it worse than you that will. Someone who has it worse with you will decide to do that. And you'll be wondering why they got somewhere and you didn't. And then you'll say it was luck.
Those are some powerful words.
Them is fighting words. According to some people, them is fighting words.
Fighting, powerful. I feel like this is a topic that I could go on talking about forever. But maybe we should on the next episode, if you guys want to continue this conversation.
We'll do research on.
And Audrey will do research. We'll hop on Wikipedia.
I think that I think that small people attack big minds. I think that Elon isn't a perfect human being, but I think that his contributions have earned him a place in our history, and I think it's well deserved. And I think history will be kind to him, and I think the people complaining about him won't be remembered by history at all. And I think that that's justified. I think that that's the universe's idea of what justice actually is. I think that people who are small and petty and want to think the worst about Bill Gates has already earned his place in history, and those people won't be remembered at all. And I think that's the universe's version
paid
of
his
justice.
dues.
Yeah, that's the universe's. That people talk about justice so much. The thing is, there's the universe's idea of justice is called natural consequences. It's not about a moral philosophy. There's no moral philosophy to justice. The universe's idea of what justice is called natural consequences. And natural consequences only follow actions. They don't follow anything else. And so Elon and Bill and Jeff and all these people have been rewarded by the universe and by history and by the global markets in proportion to the contributions they made. It's not really debatable. They have actually done things that impact millions, if not billions of people. If you impact millions and billions of people, it's not shocking that you'd be a million or a billionaire. If you impact dozens of people, it's not surprising that if those people aren't, extraordinarily wealthy, that the flow of contribution back to you is very minimal. It's not that surprising. It is literally a mathematical equation. Most things in life can be reduced down to the mathematics and the physics of it when you really take your emotions out of it, which I know is very difficult to do. But I've been looking at this, and it's really interesting to me that when you look at the number of humans that probably existed in the history of humanity, and you think about the people whose contributions are still relevant to us today, it's not even 0.1% of all the people that have come and gone on this floating graveyard in the middle of a cold, dark universe. It's not even close.
True.
Word. Now, I really, really do want to dive more into this. And you actually said something which I have written down in my little notepad and is going to be the title for next week's episode.
Oh, what's that?
What is
I'm
it?
not going to... Spoilers, hello.
Gotta keep them on their toes.
But I think if any of you have any last words, we should probably start wrapping this up.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
I think I've more than said my
I was
piece.
looking at you. I was looking at you, Audrey.
I'm looking at you, kid.
I need to do more research so I actually know what I'm talking about next.
All right. So that's what's going to happen.
You know,
next
it's
week.
okay to it's okay to explore, ask questions, or do things. And I love that you'll say, "Oh, I don't know what I'm talking," but it's also okay to explore those things or to play with them. I mean, I like this kind of Joe
it's actually
Rogan likes playing with
refreshing.
things. Yeah.
It's actually refreshing as opposed to being like, oh yeah, totally. And then not contributing because you haven't actually seen the thing or know what it is that we're talking about.
Or God forbid, don't be Roberto, don't be a know-it-all, because people hate that.
It's all about the balance.
Well, we didn't want to say anything, but yes, if you guys, oh man, look at all these people adding stuff to our chat right now.
Ooh, yeah.
If you guys are listening after the fact, then definitely join us for live stream. We live stream every Thursday at 8 p.m. ish Eastern Standard Time.
The people in the chat are really sophisticated. We got people talking about the Apollo project. We got people talking about the Library of Alexandria. This is tremendous.
What is going on?
This is our viewers are the best.
So you guys can tune in live next Thursday, and that's on our YouTube channel. We're currently trying to get to 100 subscribers on our YouTube channel so that we can have a fancy URL, because currently it's a long string of random letters and numbers. But subscribe to us on YouTube, and we'll be live every Thursday. You could join the conversation. We have a lot of fun because we do a lot of stuff visually, which does not end up in the audio version of the podcast. But thank you guys for tuning in. I don't have anything else to contribute to this conversation. I felt like this podcast has been a really great one. Do you have any last words, Audrey, before Roberto throws us into the outro? All right, I guess that's a no. All right, Roberto, you want to take us out?
Sure. Let me just wrap my thinking cap around this.
He's wrapping his thinking cap around the wrap up. Thanks
you
again.
Sorry.
There you go.
No. Thank you for listening to the No Assembly Required podcast. This has been filmed in front of a live YouTube audience. Thank you for joining your wonderful trinity of hosts. Your host, Red Romina, the girl who gives Miss Frizzle a run for her money. Audrey Ember, our adorable researcher who wants to contribute to next week's show. And of course, Mr. Know-It-All, Roberto Blake. Thank you for listening to the No Assembly Required podcast. Please like and subscribe, as well as leave a review in the Apple Podcast app. Please listen to the No Assembly Required podcast everywhere that podcast can be listened to. This has been filmed in front of a live YouTube audience. No audience members were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Just their feelings.